All right. Let's get this party on the road, shall we? Yo. Alright, welcome to yet another live coding stream where I will try and work on the board game Magnum Sal, but then using it in an event sort manner with Kotlin. I've been doing this for a while already, as you can maybe already see, like 6 months ago apparently. And then yeah, I added some more new stuff to it, so it's growing and growing, and I guess that's a good thing. Right now we are, let's see, I think the last thing that I did here was implemented the mining a little bit, and I made sure that when you mine, you should have enough money to pay for transporting the salt out of the mine shaft. And that happens when there are when in the mine shaft you don't have enough workers on all of the spots. That means you will have to pay another player to bring up the salt you've just mined out of the mine shaft. And I'm just looking real quick for like an image of that. I think, in fact, if we go to the kata page or something, maybe it's in here. By the way, also let me know if the music might be a little bit too loud, because I don't have like a proper monitor for that. Oh yikes, it might be the software sandbox. Oops. And let me also just make that a little bit larger. That's strange. Maybe it was here then. Yeah, okay. Quick start maybe. So this is a repository that you can use to try it out on your own. I think last time we really did just a quick start example. But yeah, you can do it completely if you want as well. Let's see. So this is the mine shaft. Now let's say that this question mark. So this is one of your miners. This is one of your miners, and this question mark is another player's miner. So when you mine salt here, then you'll need to pay transport because you don't have a miner positioned here. So then you'll have to pay this miner to bring up your salt from here all the way out of the mine shaft. Yeah, so that's the thing I just did, or I did last. And let me think like on what is a good next bit. So I think we've got it all covered now though. So we can now mine salt out of the mine. It also takes into account how many workers you've got there. So depending on the amount of workers, their strength, you can hold back water and then bring up, or actually mine salt and then bring it up out of the mine. But so maybe it will help if I can go over this case. So you can't pay more for salt transport than is required, right? Let's see if that works in fact, because it's the last thing I added, or I remember that I added. So we do a little bit of a setup here, using a test version of the Magnum Sal board game. We pass along an event stream that we can later assert on. Maybe I should put it into presentation mode, because that'll make it a little bit more readable or legible even. Okay, so what we do here is this sets up a game. Maybe it's going to be easier if I can just show it. It should be running now. Yeah, there we go. So this visualize miners thing outputs this. So what we see is that there's one miner in the first position of the mine shaft, and there are two Black players miners in the second position, so that would be here. And then the white player has 4 miners in this mine chamber, and there happens to be a bunch of salt there as well. So we fill all of the mine shaft with these kinds of tiles, so that I don't need to worry about whether or not there's salt available, for example, because they are distributed randomly in a normal game. And there's 0 water there, water cubes. So we've got 2 brown salts, 2 green salts, and 2 white salts. That means there's enough to mine for 4. And then what do we do as well is we say player white, whose turn it is right now, is going to mine at position 2, depth 2, and width 1. Only 1 cube of salt. Yeah, maybe that's a good next case, so that we should also take into account the amount of salt that is being transported. I think that's... I'm gonna have to check on the rules after that. And then white is going to pay the black player a total of 2 zloty twice. And he shouldn't be doing that because he's only bringing up 1 block of salt, and he only has to pay it once. So he has to pay 2 zloty because here the white player is not there, and there the white player isn't there either. So that means just 2 zloty for 1 salt cube, and paying twice is not supposed to be a thing, so that is not allowed. Okay, so can mine from a mine chamber when a player has just enough money to pay the chain. Then we've got cannot mine from a mine chamber when a player does not have enough money to pay the chain. Okay, and maybe I think what I want to do now is retry this one, but then with mining more blocks of salt here. So maybe first let's run this test again, and then we can see what the mine shaft looks like. It's just a zloty. Okay, so the player has... They don't even have money left, so maybe that's not a good idea. Then I think... Yeah, in fact, it doesn't really matter all that much. But let's copy this one. And then just say... Can't bring up salt or multiple salt blocks or something when player does not have the money or not have enough money to pay for transport. Okie dokie. Then let's see. So I think what we do have here now is we've got a player, the white player, in it having 4 zloty in total, and then this isn't really correct. That only happens after that part. Okay, then I want to do both these things so that it becomes a little bit more clear, and then I want to mine more salt. So if I... So there's 1 more white cube, and then there's 2 green and 2 brown cubes. So let's bring up the most valuable ones. So I think in this case, I've got 3 cubes of salt that I need to bring up across 2 spaces. And then I won't be able to do that. So in this case, it's again, I've got 4 workers here, or 4 miners, and then the other player has 2 transporters basically. But you have to pay 1 zloty per cube of salt that you want to bring out of the mine and per transporter that you use. That's what I think it should be like, but maybe let's verify that again. There is somewhere the condensed rules. Condensed rules, moving, start phase. Where is mining? Extract salt from 1 mine chamber. Here we go. Pay 1 zloty per salt per space used. So it is per salt and not per space used to any other miner there. Ah yeah, you can split among multiple players. That's correct. Yeah. So in this case, what do we have? We've got 4 workers, so we've got enough, and there's no water there, so we can just mine for salt. We're mining 3 salts. And in fact, what we should do is pay the black player, yeah, to make it a little bit more easy. We'll pay him twice 3 zloty, but so that's not possible. And then the message should read to have enough zloty. Zloty. Yeah, so if you haven't learned that yet, Magnum Sal is a Polish game. That's why zloty, the Polish currency. Let's see if I run this. I think it should fail. So I hope that the test is green. I'm really not sure anymore about this part, because I think there's like an optimization where if this happens, then you just should do like this. Expected not to pay more zloty than is required. So we're getting an incorrect error, in fact. Or maybe it is per tile. Yeah. So it's the same error. So I think I will leave it like this. So we will pay the black player twice for 3 zloty, but in fact, the game is saying right now you're not allowed to pay more than is required. So somehow the game thinks that you've overpaid, but so that's not the case. So what we have here in the mine function is we have 2 things. One is to deal with how mining works, and that just checks your strength and stuff like that. And then when that is done, then salt transport is managed, and this is where we should be fixing the bug now. So you to have enough zloty to pay for salt, that apparently is fine already. And if you just read it, indeed, it just takes into account how many zloty does the player have and how many transporters are needed. So it already seems like... So this is actually the starting position from your position. So maybe I want to from mine chamber, and then all of the positions until the top, which will produce a list of positions in the mine. And then what we do is for every position in the mine, we will group it by the position. So then we only have the position, and then for every position we will check how many miners are there, and then we will see how many, just do a filter basically of all of the positions in which you have no miners yourself. That's it. So this will just provide all of the transporters that are required. But so we will need to multiply this with the amount of salt that is being transported. And that we don't have yet. So that should be in here. And that means that we, wait, not here, but in fact there. So we will add salt to mine here. And then add that as a parameter. Now we've got all of the salts as well, salt to mine. And then what we can do is we will just multiply this with the salts, salt to mine. I think it's just going to be size times that. All right. And now this should work, I hope. Aha! It is working. Maybe let's check if now all of the other tests also are still working, but yes, it might be. I haven't really taken that into account just yet with the... but I have. Alright, that's already cool. So we should add that. Now also taking into account the amount of salt being transported in the transport cost of the game. And there is non-model commit interfaces available. Let's check that out in the next commit that we'll do. So in our test that we were doing earlier, yeah, there we go. So now we learned that I wasn't taking into account the amount of salt being transported here. So maybe I should also take that into account to when you're paying more for salt transport, but I guess that's already been taken care of. Right, because they have 4 zloty. Yeah, actually not really, but I could make it work if I just do this. White, and then we'll just give them 6 zloty. And pay 3 zloty twice, which is unnecessary because you're only mining twice. So now this test should also still work. If it fails, then there's something wrong and we need to fix it. So I could have written another test specifically for that case, but I chose not to. Can't pay more for transport than is required. So now I think they're not supposed to pay 6, so it is indeed failing. So then that means we need to check in this other part here. So here we also need to take into account the salt to mine. So as you can see shortly, there is some duplication here because this is now in fact the actual transport cost, and so is this. And maybe this is then a misnomer because this transport cost thing, really what it contains is the intention that a player wants to do to actually pay or distribute. So maybe it's like transport cost distribution. I'll rename that like right now. Distribution. Alrighty. And then what I will do is I'll extract this into a transport cost. Maybe a function. Let's do a function first and then so this is calculate transport cost. or maybe just transport cost. Yes, please. Okie dokie. Now it should be alright, correct. Oh, there's still something wrong apparently. Miners to pay for transport too. Maybe it will be a little bit more interesting, I think, if we just output the total transport cost instead of just the transporters needed. Or you know what I could do instead is make this into an object and have that being printed out. The choices, so many choices. You know, let's keep it like this, and then also just do amount of salt to pay. To pay for, something like that. And this is a little bit silly that it's in this position, at this place, I mean, because yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to get rid of this because it does show a little bit, not in an ideal fashion, but it does show which positions that I'll need to transport, that the player needs to transport across. But that's not interesting anymore after you've already learned how many miners you need to pay for transport, right? So, but in fact what we can already do is debug a little bit by just looking at the log. Okay, so this is just saying the white player can mine, and then the white player currently has 6 slotty. Then we'll need to transport across mineshaft 1 and 2, and that's it. I don't really understand what the add is here. Dot add. It's already gone anyway, so. And then what? Miners to pay for transport. It's 2. And if 2 salt can be mined. Okay, so maybe what I also want to do is check what the transport cost is of this player, so to speak, what they intend to, no, not this one, but this one, what they intend to pay in total. This is really just a total, so maybe it's not that interesting, because there's a lot more interesting information within this transport cost distribution object, because we've got like a, we know who is trying to pay something, and then there's a map of how much money you want to pay each player. And then a way to get events out of that, basically. I'm just wondering if it's interesting enough information to check who you want to pay a certain amount. I'm imagining that it doesn't really need to be that specific. So maybe this is already okay. Let's do debug here as well. Player, or maybe let's do $player. And I didn't do it here. Player intends to pay it in total for transport. There we go. And then since everything else is working, let's only rerun this test and get this working. By the way, I really hope you're having a great weekend. I also moved from my room upstairs to a room downstairs, which is hopefully going to be a little bit more easy to cool down, because the summer is coming up, and last year it was really brutal. Ah, wait. Now we're getting a different error, in fact. Can't pay for more for salt than is required. Ah, yeah. That is strange. So we do get this one? But so this should be 6 then, I think, right? Or 3, in fact. Nee, no, it should be 6 because, okay, so I do the optimization step in a transaction. I forgot why I did it like this. I think it's to make it a little bit more easy that we're paying per tile or something. So we are only mining 2 salts, but we're giving the player 3 zloty each time. And we don't want events that say white paid 6 and black received 6. Okay, so now it's working again. Nice. Then I was looking at the wrong kind of info. All right, cool. Let's commit that as well. So we're also taking into account the amount of salt being transported in the yeah, how do you call that? The transport cost, but then also the pay too much check. 0 inspiration. That's what you get for coding on a Sunday, I guess. Ah, dang it, I was gonna try out the new tool window. So let's try see what that thing does. Switch to tool window. Yeah, I got it. Oh no, no. Why would I want to do this, in fact? This is so weird. Let's just try it out for a while, shall we? Okie dokie. Right, so yeah, I think this is complete now. Huh? So now we are correctly paying for salt being transported, so that's great. What else do we have? Let's think a little bit. By the way, if you've got any questions at all, feel free to ask them in the chat, and normally I should be able to read it. So yeah, there you go. Also, let me know if the music is too loud or anything like that, or you get like getting too much background noise. It'll be quite helpful indeed. All right. So we're bringing up salt out of the mine, and I think that's like all we need to be doing in that mine, in fact. I have a check that you can't bring up salt out of the mine if you don't have the money for it. I have checks that check whether you've got enough strength in the mine chamber to mine the salt you want to mine. Hey, thanks for the feedback, Luis Pool. And I think then that's all the stuff you can do, in fact, out of the mine. We've got the actions already in place as well. We've got the reveal as well. Yeah, I mean, the reveal event is something that happens implicitly anyway. Alright. Yeah, there was one case where because you can pay multiple players, and I haven't checked that just yet. So in fact, what I want to do is do the same thing. So cannot pay for more salt transport than is required, and can't bring up multiple salt blocks with multiple players. So let's copy both of these tests, and then give it like the side notion in a game with when paying multiple players. There we go. That's what I wanted to write. By the way, what do you like? How do you like these Kotlin function names for tests? You can just read them like sentences. Look how neat this is. I'm saying like this is such a cool thing, but then in JavaScript you already had this like ages ago with Mocha or Jasmine. But these are really just method names. Okay, now I want to set up a game with multiple players, and I think that might be a little bit more difficult because in this, with 4 white miners at the first right mine chamber, this setup only takes into account 2 players. So what I want to do next is have 3 players. How do I do that? I think what I want to do is maybe just copy this or something, and then we'll extract it later if I find some better pattern or something. With 3 players. Okay, we've got Bruno, Tim, and then Luis using orange. There we go. And then just fill in some stuff. So the reason why I'm doing it like this and not just using events is then I can really make sure that it will follow the game's actions, and I can't do any illegal events this way. So I could have, instead of placing workers in the mine, I could have also just put this miner placed event in the mine or in the event stream as well, without taking into account, yeah, the actual business logic. Because that way I prevent myself from, how do you say that? I prevent myself from, yeah, creating illegal game state in my event stream, basically. Okay, so we've got white is up next, then there's black, and then I think what I'll do is I'll copy these events for orange, because that way both black and orange will be at the same position all the time. Then we'll add more workers for, hang on now. I think I can make it a little bit more cheeky if I just put, oh yeah, that's okay. This way everyone has one worker at the top of the mine shaft. Okay, then orange takes their turn and they also put 2 miners in the same position. So orange both orange and black have workers at one at the top of the mine shaft and at the first corridor cross section, and then we'll have white put their workers in the first mine chamber, and these are just filler events so that black only has 1 or 2, I think. Yeah, no, only 1 worker in that cross section. And then we'll remove a worker from white, and then we'll copy the same empty event for orange, so that it's now white's turn then. Alright. Cool. So if we go back to our test case, then I need to do for 3 players. And I'll need to do that here as well. So now we've got 3 players, sorry. And now I want to say, oof. Where does this come from? I don't. Oh yeah, so this is the white player that wants to. So this transport cost maybe should be cost distribution. There we go. And then so I want to pay black but also orange. And this is already impossible because we're both paying black and orange 1 zloty extra. So it does not contain this, indeed. Now I wonder how the distribution worked again. I don't remember my code. So it could be that it's like this. And then I've got 2 events of these. I think it's like this, in fact. But I'm not really sure. I'm just saying. Okay. So that also means I'll need a happy path, in fact, for that one. And then here we've got the can't bring up multiple salt blocks. One player does not have enough money for transport when paying multiple players. So they only have 4 zloty. Yet they're trying to bring up 3 salt cubes over 2 mine shaft positions, so that means 2 times 3 is 6 in total. And we want to pay black and orange 3. Ooh. There's another scenario I just come to think of where you just want to pay multiple players. Oh Jesus, this is going to become increasingly more complex. But let's also write that as a test. Paying multiple players for 3 salts. Different. 3 salts and 1 tile or mineshaft spot basically. Maybe 1 position. So then I want to bring up 3 salts, but only for 1 position. So what I then want to do, so I just simply do not do that. Then this should in fact work. Yeah. And then the event stream should contain white paying, I think it's twice 3 then, so it should be like this. And then black is going to receive wait, that's not possible. I need to say, because I'm only mining once, so let's give black 2 and then orange 1. Yeah. So like this then. That's another test I just thought about, which I probably should check. I just randomly ran one of these tests to check if it works, but could have probably thought about a more interesting one. But it does fail though. It fails. Okay. I don't have enough workers there. That's strange. I have enough available workers. To do what? Huh? I don't remember already adding a limit to the amount of workers that a player has. Dang it. Oh dang it, I already took that into account. Alright, oh no. So indeed in a 2-player game you have more workers than in a 3-player or more player game than at the start. So now my shit, that sucks. My test case or the setup here no longer works because we've got 1 worker here, 2, 3, 4, and then here you don't have a worker anymore. So what I need to do here is I guess I want to remove this one maybe? Or damn it. I also don't have like a pass turn or something like that, so maybe that would have been helpful because then I can just pass the the turn to the next player. Let's just try and remove one then. So we'll do remove a worker from mine here. So now they do not have 3, they still have, they only have 1 player there, one miner there. Oh, and even here we try to, let's remove this one then. And then instead of removing one, we'll place one there, then we'll have 3 miners there, and I think so we've got 4 workers, right? And I think I want to keep the other thing I'm thinking about is that I can also just have 2 workers at the first mine chamber for white. And I was thinking maybe because I wanted to check yeah, I think that'll be fine as well. So what I will do is I'll just remove, yeah, maybe this is, I think, already fine then. Because then I will have 2 miners at the first right mine chamber. And then that means we can also remove this. And now we need to check whether black and orange also haven't exceeded their worker limit. So we've got 2 white miners with 3 players. Let's see, yeah. We've got, for black, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a removal. And for orange, we have the same probably. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then a removal, and then it's white's turn again. Okay, this should work, eh? Now I didn't do a proper rename. There we go. Let's run it again. It won't compile. Maybe I was in time. Yeah, no, I wasn't. Dang it. Alright, so my test fails. Why is that? Why do I not have enough rested workers there? So this is why I'm using the commands to create legal state. It's a bit annoying because it's not the stuff I want to be testing, but it also prevents me from testing silly cases that don't happen. With 2 white miners at first right mine chamber, okay. And I give white 4 zloty. Oh, okay, I don't want to do this. Wait, hang on, which one is it? Can't bring up multiple salt blocks. Okay, yeah, by the way, now this also changed. Let's see, we've got at both the top of the mine chamber and then the one. So we will need to pay twice for 3 salt blocks. So you don't have the money for that. So we should be paying this twice. And that won't work indeed. But also we don't have enough miners. Yeah, we don't have enough miners. Oh, damn it. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll just mine both white salt cubes. This is going to turn to, or I will have to pay each player 2 zloty. Because I'm extracting 2 salt cubes. And first I will give the black player 2 zloty. And then I will give the orange player 2 zloty. But then now I will have enough money for that, so I don't want this case to happen. So let's just give them only 3. And then these cases are also illegal. So I don't want twice. And I also don't want the orange player to have received 2 zloty. Okay, rerun it. I hope this works now, otherwise we're having to fix some more code. Nice. Okie dokie. Okay, up to the next test then. So I won't be able to mine 3 salts. And then I want to pay multiple players for 2 salts and 1 position. So normally there should be a white miner here. So that means I only have to pay for this position. So white is going to pay black 1 and orange 1 for, and this you can do, huh? Because they're both stationed at the same spot. You can just distribute the money you have to pay among those players. So 2 salts. Okay, so I think this should be 1, and this should also be 1. And I do have enough cash for that, so okay. Okay, now let's run all of the tests again. And if this works, I'll be right back because my throat is so dry. Dang it, it doesn't work. I do not deserve water. What is problem? That's not good. Because the balance is off now. Maybe the intent should also be within this transport cost distribution that you want to pay 2 zloty or something. Then I can already check in this object that you're trying to do something incorrect. Because now where this happens is, so we first build a transport cost distribution for a player. And then with like an empty payment per player. And then basically what I want to say is I want to pay 1 player a certain amount of zloty. Okay, but so it shouldn't pass this. And if you do execute transactions, then what we will do is per player that you want to pay to, we are going to create transactions, and then one transaction will mean we'll do 1 zloty paid and another zloty received, so you can't possibly make the mistake of having an imbalanced account, in fact. So that means we don't really need to do that, in fact. But then that also means that where this is used, so in the execute transactions, let's see, yeah. Oops, that's not the thing I wanted to do. Hang on. Let's do usages. Here we go, handle transport. Ja, allee. It's not a unique thing or something, so... Oh, maybe it's just in the test case then. Yeah, I think that's it. The contains checks uniqueness or something like that, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, but there is already one in there of this type, so I don't need to check it anymore because a zloty paid white one is in there, huh? Plus also, don't I want to? Paying for multiple, I want to. Contains, it should be contains. That also might fix stuff. Alright, what if I drop this one? Will it fail? I expect it to fail. Ah, it does not. Shit. So I want... Then I think I'll need to do like a filter. And say I want... I think I've called them payment events. That's probably not where I want that thing to be. It's either here or after then. Yeah. So I want contains exactly in any order. Now it should fail, hopefully. Oh, I think there's also like the initial payment. Yeah. Oh no. And then there's also like stuff. Yeah. So all of this crap is setup. So maybe okay. How do I do that? Like, I want to filter out the setup events. Do I also just filter them out, or what? Maybe like this, and then I will do setup events, which is a list of payment events, and then we'll fill this one with list of blah. Oh no, it's this part. And then we'll need to transform these. Oh, I don't actually, because there we go. Oops, that last one, not necessary. Okay, now let's run it again. Hopefully we only get these now. Well, it should fail because I'm missing one zloty paid with Owana. Yeah. Unexpected. Yes. Okay. So now if I do this, I should make it explicit enough, right? So this is paying the black player, and then the other one is paying the orange player. And now maybe what I can do is extract this out of like the setup. So how do I do that? Well, basically, it's all of the payment events before I do this mine, before I do my actual action, right? So what I could do is go like Magnum Sal, extract setup payment events or something like that. And then that should be this thing. And this I think I can just remove. And move to here. And I want to add this function. I do want to create an extension function, but not here. I want it to be in this one. So I've got a Magnum Sal test builder, which is only available in during a test context, that has special function only for using in a test context. So I think what I want to do is have extract setup payment events. Be a extension function. And I think what I could do now is, oh yeah, here we go again. I can't do it on that thing, so because I'm going to be using the event stream for that, and I don't have it accessible in an extension function. So maybe what I'll do instead is go like this. That looks ridiculous, doesn't it? Which takes any maybe let's just pass along an event stream for now, and then oh yeah, and I don't have that, so it should be here. No. That's it. Another thing I could do is extract this into a test Magnum Sal or something. And then I can do that. And then I think I also do have access to the event stream because it's an instance. Event stream, yep. And then I can do the filter stuff. Which I thought I copied, but that's still here. Right, so that's just all of the payment events until that point. This actually needs to remain there. Okay, let's just do it one at a time. I've got so many ideas. So, I just want all of the filter events until that point. The payment events until that point. That's this, the setup events. And then what I want to do is still extract them, huh? But I was thinking that maybe I could do, because the event stream is something that continuously expands, so if I use this to fetch like should probably do this, filter events, and then I can move that out of there and into this new function I will create. So that was also filter events with a T. The implementation of this should just be this.event stream filter events with T. And I think that's like the reified stuff I need to do there. Yeah, inline. I think this is correct. I'm not sure anymore. Let's look up here. Yeah, it is correct. And then when I have all of these, then I also want to filter the ones that are not in the setup events. So I want to filter it not in that means I don't need to keep state or something if I want to do it like this. Let's do that. So we'll make this into this dot setup events equals. This doesn't exist yet, so let's make it a member property. I think if I give them any type, it should be the Magnum Sal event. Huh? Oh, this shouldn't be just payment events. It should be all of the events. So I don't even care. I want to get them all. All. With. Oh yeah, this is a boolean. And then I guess I need to filter them or something. What the hell? This is a list though, right? Yeah. So if I do this, it won't work because... Okay, then let's do filter events with Magnum Sal events. Okay. And then this is no longer just a T. Now I'm confused. I don't understand why required boolean, but there's a unit, so this thing returns a unit somehow. Not in. I thought that's exactly what I had before here. Ah. Yeah. That is correct, because they're not... I just want to do this. And then we've got setup events, and now why is this a thing? Oh yeah, that doesn't belong there anymore because I put it on the Magnum Sal, test Magnum Sal thing. And then I basically just want to filter the events. So like this. And this should work, but then now it's still complaining. Why is that? Because... So this event stream points to the event stream in test Magnum Sal. I say I want to do... Ah, nee, that's not what I want to do. No, it is in fact, because I just don't want to include these setup events. Ah yeah, but filter is an okay, now I understand. If I get rid of this, then filter events is going to return a what? A list of T. But if I do this, then filter no longer returns a list of T. It does. let's try it the other way around. So if I do contains, that's it. This does work. And now it's going to suggest me, maybe you want to type inference failed. Yeah. How does that work again? So it's not just any T, the T extends a Magnum Sal event. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Now we do not contains. Voila, and now it does work. Nice! Right, let's see it work again. That was some refactoring. I don't know if I like it even. Extracting the setup payment events. Alright, it does work. Oh, don't forget your water. Thank you so much. I will be right back. Thank you so much. Okay, be right back. Right, and we are back. Thanks again, Luis. I really needed a drink. Also took the liberty to empty out my laundry machine because it was done. All right, that refactor is indeed done. So yeah, the one thing I was looking at is maybe let's first do a little commit here because it was quite an extensive commit, if I'm not mistaken. Because what did we do? Even the rename is in there. Shit. It's still a rename, and then we added 3 new tests where we were testing the transport cost stuff along with paying out to multiple players. And they should all be green now. So what we did here was what we paying transport to multiple players now also works. Might complain about some warnings. Don't care for the moment. Right, so the thing I don't like is that this setup events is a late init var. Well, that specifically I don't really care about that much, but the fact that you have to remember to first call this before you can use filter events. And the way I think I want to make that explicit is now that we have state. What I think I want to do is when building, I want to do this extract setup payment events thing. This is actually not just payment events, this is just all events. Extract setup events. So I want to do, or I want to call this method just when I build. So what I want to do here is extract setup events and then call that. So what I think I can do here as well is just inline it because there's no other place. 2 occurrences. Yeah, because the other spot is in my test itself. No? Yes, it is. So these I no longer need. I mean, I don't want them there anymore. Okay, so now the setup events are assigned when you do a build, which makes much more sense. But then I still need this test Magnum Sal instance. And not just this one. No, okay. Let's run all of the tests. Let's run actually all of the tests. Oh, damn. And I've always been just running this Magnum Sal test, but I should have been running really all of them. Because Lord knows how many tests I've broken. I think the refactorings I've done were always a little safe enough. Yeah, nice. Okay, so moved setup events assignment to .build. Okie dokie. That's much better, huh? Yeah, I think this is okay now, huh? think though that this should also be a little bit more removed, even though it would fail. I think it makes more sense if I first assign this to a test Magnum Sal instance. So that I can then filter events, the payment events. And then I can use does not contain exactly. Then I think it might be even is empty. But no, I want to make explicit that I don't want these in there, so. I guess I'll have to do the same up there as well. Yeah, the thing is, I'm doing this, but there's no real reason to it. I think I prefer to just do it with the actual contains thing. So here, and here it's also not an issue, I guess. I just want to prevent a future code change here to accidentally create a false positive. That's what I'm wanting to avoid. I think that will happen much faster with these kind of things. With the actual contains, that is. Filter events, the payment events. Contains exactly in any order. All right. Okay. I think that's already fine, quite fine. Made future test changes. More false positive proof or something. I have no good no good description for that, I'm afraid. Okie dokie. Yeah, I think like at the beginning of my stream, so that was like an hour and a half ago, that now my payment stuff is complete. So maybe let's go over the case again. We've taken into account paying to multiple players for both paying too much, paying exactly enough, and paying not having enough money for it. For both multiple players, multiple salts, multiple locations, and I think then we've got everything covered with regards to paying for transport of salt in the mine. That's quite okay, huh? Yeah, I think we can do the next step, which I seem to have removed. This is the thing I wanted to show. Wait, okay, so this should be a little bit more readable. So really what the game has up until now was all of the actions in the mine, and I think all of these mine actions are complete now. A pass. let's implement that maybe as an extra action that might also simplify stuff later for setting up stuff in the mine or elsewhere in the game. Yep. Okay, so that's like an entire new segment, I think. Maybe we could do it. No, determining play order. There is, however, a turn order rule test. Maybe I can check out what this thing has. Goes twice. There's no real. What action do I use there? It's just placing workers in a mine. Yeah, I mean, where am I going to put that? It's not like a specific rule. Although it should be in turn order. Okay, you know what? Let's put it in here. Seems like a most, I mean, the best fit in there. A legal case in a game with 4 players, 4th player goes twice. So maybe let's first do a legal case in a game with 2 players. Second player passes once. And or maybe does 1 action and passes once after first round, so that should work, right? Okay, so we've got just a game with 2 players, and we want to, so this is the first part, and then the white player first does an action and then passes. Pass white. And the rule should still be that black, it's now black's turn. What the hell is this? Ah, yeah. A search has updated to a new. I don't want to do that. Or I have to do it everywhere. Now let's implement this, I guess. I could also first create all of the tests, but yeah, I don't really want to do that. So it's not supposed to be a util thing either. Let's put it near the public functions of this thing. We've got add player, determine play order, and then there's a place and remove from the mine. Well, let's put it right after this one, or before this one. Yeah, right after this one. Okie dokie. And now let's just not do anything yet. And then the test should fail. Okay, transition requires it to be your turn. That is correct, because it's supposed to still be a white's turn here. So let's try and do that. So I think I just want to do is push an event that says passes or something. No, past in past tense. Past player. Or maybe past turn. Yeah, that's a turn, right? And then I can add that past turn to... Where do I want to put that? Maybe here? After the player order determined, maybe. Ooh. Past turn, which has just a player. Yeah, that's it. And then I can name it just like that as well for JSON. This JSON stuff is just for an event migration thing I was trying out as well, where we just persist the entire event stream. And I don't really know anymore if it still is going to work for this stuff because I refactored it. We'll see that when I get there. So I do need to tell that it's still a Magnum Sal event. Yeah. Okay, so now it still shouldn't be enough because in the turn order rule I don't take into account this past turn event. Yeah. I think I'm also going to rename this to past turn. I don't like it when I've got different language for two things. One action. I guess an action is something you do in one turn, because I think there's also bonus actions that don't cost anything. So, and then turn order rule. So we don't really pass a turn. In fact, we pass an action, pass action. Then it really should be pass, and then this event should be past action. And then we can actually name the when you do two past actions, then there should be like a past turn or something like that. All right, so this was just a rename. Now we can go to the turn order rule itself and check out how we did that. So it is the turn of. Here are the player actions. So all of the things that are considered an action of a player. And here what we just do is concatenate all of the different player actions. So what I think I want to do next is also, we've got minors placed, minors removed, salt mined. So what I think I want to do is just add past actions or something, and then past action, and just concatenate them as well. Past actions, map player. There we go. Now it should be green. And you can already see there's a refactor here, because instead of doing all of this, including this concatenation, if I just have a specific type for these kinds of player actions, or player action events, then I can just filter on those player action events and then map those to a player or something. And then, since I only need the player itself, apparently. I don't even think I need that. Oof. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the thing is green, so let's keep on writing some tests for the other ones as well. So I think they should also all be green, because once you cover this one, there is a legal case wherein you want to do something in your first action. Yeah, this is kind of weird. Does one action once and pass. So that's the one we just wrote. In legal case. Now I'm starting to think that it doesn't actually belong in there, and it should just belong in the Magnum Sal test, the regular one. Because here it's sort of arbitrary which kind of actions that you use. But I think it makes sense that it's in here somehow anyway. Because you want to incorporate the fact that that passing is an action. Because if you look at it, I think I only even use place worker in mine here. Ah, yeah, you know what? If I wouldn't have included that pass action, then somewhere in my Magnum Sal test, my test would be like, if I were to use the pass action, in fact, then my test would be like complaining, hey, it's not your action. So I needed to do that anyway, but I think this is like the better way to go about it, because you can test it in a shorter way. Now, in fact, so we've implemented the pass action. And what I want to do next is I want to refactor my test Magnum Sal, because somewhere in here I sort of do these non-actions like this in order to make sure that white is the next player. Here, it's now white's turn, so I can replace this non-action basically, and I think also this one with just passing. So I can just do pass with black, and every test that uses this one, this setup should still work. I think. Wait, let's check actually, because you place a worker and then we remove one. Yeah, I mean, it's a non-action. Huh? Okay, let's actually verify that by running all of the freaking tests again. By the way, any questions, feel free to ask. Yay! I was correct. And then I think I can also do that for both of these. Right? Because here I also place one and remove one, so I can just make this into pass actions as well. Pass. Oops. And there we go. Let's run all the tests again. And then let's check if we still have other places where we've got like these non-actions. I don't think there are any left though. Yeah, this is all visualization stuff. And as I say that this is all visualization stuff, maybe I should put it in like a a visualization class or something. No, let's do that as a next refactor action. Okay, so here I did replaced non-actions with the pass action. Now I am aware that it still has a little bit of a side effect, because passing twice in a round, or in your turn basically, means that your miners that you've used will be rested again, and you can use them again in the next turn or in the next round. Maybe it will be a better idea to actually provide like a glossary or something to make sure that I have a consistent meaning to what a turn and an action is, because now I'm not sure myself. I seem to have been using it willy-nilly. Like, there's a little difference, like a nuance between what an action is and what a turn is, I think. But first, let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Okay, now what I want to do is move this to a separate class, but if I just cut and paste this, everything will be broken, because yeah, the functions are used elsewhere in my codes, and I don't want to do that. So what I will do first is just copy this over to a new file here that we're going to call Magnum Sal visualization or something. Sure, let's add it. And then we just put everything in there. Make it compile. Yeah, okay, so now it's complaining about being overloaded. I'm just looking for other places. Yeah. It looks like I've got everything covered here. So now what I want to do here is I want to just refer all of these functions, basically. I want to refer them towards the Magnum Sal visualization file. So the way I will do that is... yeah, so these in fact I can just remove because they are extension functions. As is this one. Ooh. This shouldn't be in the visualization one. What's that one doing there? Yeah, so gone. This should remain in here. Huh? And then these are also, this is also an extension function. I can get rid of that. And then for both of these, I can... Okay, I was just trying to look for a way to do that basically, but since you can't disable camel humps anymore. Oh, you can? No. See? Use, okay, here it is. So if you do camel once, okay, nice. Now I can select it. And then I can just go like this and say Magnum Sal visualization dot paste. And then in fact add this as an argument, and then I can just remove all of this crap normally. Import it once. I needed the KT stuff or not. That's weird. Ah, it's still doing overload. Ah, yeah. Can I type alias that stuff? Okay, so then what I want to do is just rename this quickly. I need to make sure that these are also using the do ones, otherwise it will be broken, huh? Okay. Use these ones, and then I guess it's not. Okay. And now we just inline. Oh, and now I noticed that they're not used anymore. That is so strange. Oh yeah, I don't even need to do that because they're not imported at all, in fact. So that means when I did that refactor rename, no, that can't be. Right, these are just extension functions that use these things here. So in that case, it's much more easy in Aleon. Up. And then I will make these private because that'll be a little bit easier to comprehend, right? Because they're not used outside of this class. They're only used as extension functions everywhere else. What about icon though? I think that might also be just used within this thing. Yeah, makes sense to also make that private then. Okie doke. Let's see if our tests are all still running, and then we can commit that as well. Yay. Extracted visualization for tests. Separate file. I didn't even need all of that fancy magical inline stuff. But marking them as private would have helped me a little bit more. Huh? Okay. And so we've got our pass action. We can do all of the stuff you want to do in a mine. Oh yeah. I think so now we've got a couple of more elements to this game. There's the top part of the game, which consists out of different buildings that you can go to and do these actions there, since after all it's still a worker placement game. So you can move to the castle to deliver an order of salt that the king requested, or the emperor or something. There's a building where you can buy a new worker, or a new worker. Then there's a place where you can buy tools, a water pump, and which has interaction with stuff that's going on in the mine. And what else? There was something else. I forgot what else. Ah yeah, there's an entire market as well. Oh, still so much stuff to do. Okay, so maybe the thing that would be interesting is something that already interacts with the mine, like the water pump. Because I already have a bunch of stuff going on there. And then, yeah, maybe I can do that. I think I don't really remember anymore, because I think using the water pump, even if there isn't a miner or a worker on that water pump, you can always use it for a pump. Price shown from one chamber the player has a worker on. Yeah, and then... No, I don't remember. Visit a building and perform its action. The same building may not be visited twice in one turn. Alright, so the pump house is not something that you can keep your worker on at all the time. Oh right, and then there's the town square. This should also be quite easy to implement already. And here you don't need to put a worker. Ah, yeah. You don't need to put a worker here either. You don't need to put a worker there either. Neither here. Okay, so now I want to know, or want to remember, if all of these buildings have an assistant space. I don't think that's correct. Like, I don't think that the inn has an assistant space. I think that the workshop has one, the pump house has one, the market has one, and the castle has one. But town square and inn do not have an assistant space. Oh. It's tempting to model all of these buildings now, huh? Okay, I suggest we just model, well, not model, we will add a pump house as a place that you can use as an action, and then later put an assistant there that then gets paid instead of the bank. And I think this removing of water is like, there's like a ratio, but I forget what it exactly is. But this, implementing this is already a cool thing to do, because after we've got this, then we already have integration with our mine shaft, and then we will add the assistant space to this thing so that when you pay stuff, it doesn't go to the bank, but it goes to a player instead. That already seems like super fun. Yeah. Okay. Let's... okay, and then the other thing I wanted as an extra feature was the inn, because if you have an inn, then you can basically hire new workers, which will make longer test cases easier to do. But I don't really think we need it. I mean, we can manage by just adding more players, I think. Okay, so let's do the pump house next. We've got a thing. Okay, let's check it out. So, mining from the mine. Now. It sort of is part of the mine, but maybe I think I want to do like pumping from the mine or something like that. So not mining from the mine, but oh yeah, now I need to enable camel humps again. Pumping water from the mine. I guess I could also use or name it as using the water pump. No, the pump house. In fact, that's what it's called, the pump house. And now we need to come up with that's so strange. I expected the cursor to be there. What do I want? So a player cannot use the pump house when they are not on or in a mine chamber with water, because it doesn't make any sense. What other stuff do we have? Also cannot use the pump house when they do not have enough zloty. When can they also not use the pump house? You don't need any workers available, so that doesn't really matter. What else do we have? I mean, I guess you can't do it either when it's not your turn. It's like the classic when it's not your turn. That probably should be the first thing that we should test. And then this, the amount of zloty will depend on the amount of water that you want to pump out. So a player uses the pump house to pump out some of the water cubes of one chamber, mine chamber. All of the water cubes. Yeah, just thinking what other stuff. 1, 2, 4. I don't know if there are any tiles that have more than 4 water. Because if there isn't, or if there aren't any, then I don't think we need to take that into account. But we could replace this with 4. Or just like this. Where can I find... That's, I think, in game pieces. Might be here. Nope. Dang it. So then in my actual code, mine chamber tile, looky here. Okay, so this is already a little bit sad because it only tells me that water cubes is an integer. I probably did it in because I'm lazy, and then you can also just use very short notation. Here, okay. 0 and 4 cubes of water, great. But now 4 is like a magic number. Let's make that into a constant. Wasn't there like a way to do that? Max amount of water. I really thought it was this, but let's put it here. Is it const fall or something? Yeah, there we go. All right, and then I can use this somewhere, hopefully. Yeah, now it is really all four. Can we imagine other stuff to be doing with this pump house? I don't see like a ratio here. Like if you... Cannot use the pump house when they are not in the mine chamber with the water. The other thing that makes the event sourced problem a little bit more difficult is that no, that was expressed wrong, sorry. The other thing that makes using event sourcing more difficult to test this problem is the fact that if you don't code it correctly, like not taking into account the past well enough, then you might have not taken into account that test case basically and coded something wrong. So that's always more difficult to write a test case for. And because you can't really just use state, because you have to build up the state. All right. But yeah, maybe we've got all of these tests now. I think we can start implementing them, and then as we go, we will learn about what things we're missing. Maybe we can already like write something in here like test the ratio. And I think I also want to look up the ratio. Do we have it somewhere? Yeah. I think maybe they are as an image here or something like that. Or we will use the full rules or something like that. Where the hell was it? Ah, here. Actual rule book. Oh, and then I think it should have that somewhere in here. Can I search in here? No, okay. Then let's open this thing somewhere. Jesus Christ, I've got so many projects. Hang on now. Rule book. Okay, hang on now. Here we go. Hopefully I can look here. Pump. Water. What? Oh. Pump. Aha. Here we go. Yes, this is quite illegible, huh? Good God. Here he is. The first water cube is removed for free, in fact. The first water cube is removed for free. That's so... This language is so weird, huh? Okay. So there's always cash flowing to the bank in these actions. That will make it a little bit easier. So that goes to the bank and then from the bank to the assistant. That's gonna be nice. And at some point also it will be interesting to check out all of these examples and codify them into unit tests. Let's extract salt from the chamber where there are 3 black miners. Great, there is a lot of valuable salt, 2 green and 1 white. Unfortunately, same full of water, making it difficult for miners to work. Well, actually, indeed, the strength of this black player is in fact 0, because if you want to mine, you also need to hold back, well, I mean, put miners to work to hold back the water as people are mining. So in this case, when you would mine, you'd need to hold back 3 leaks of water, let's say. So you can't even mine salt here. So the player decides to remove the water as their first action. Black player visits the pump house and remove 3 water cubes from the chamber, paying 5 cents. So 0 cents for the first cube because that one is free. 2 cents for the second, and then 3 cents for the third. So for 1 addition, I think we've played this wrong in the past. Actually, we might have just paid. Oh yeah, it's 3 cubes, so that's 3 cents to pay. Then, or just maybe, yeah, I think that's how we played it. And then the orange player who had sent one of his miners as an assistant receives 1 cent. Ah yeah, 1 cent from the bank. That's why you only get 1 cent and not the full amount, so not the 5 cents. For the second action, the black player can now extract all 3 blocks of salts from the chamber because all of the water is gone. Okay. Yeah, so now just reading that example, maybe we can really just codify it now, because I think we've got everything in place, well, except for the miner being an assistant. Like, where do I want to put that? Like, maybe like here or something. Or maybe in the pump house thing? Yeah, why not? A player first uses the pump house, then mines salt out of a chamber previously filled with water. Nice. So the ratio is different depending on the amount of salt. So I think this, maybe I don't want to do in one of these test cases. It kind of depends. It's gonna be fine wherever, right? Yeah. It's still just 2 or 3, so well, I mean 1 to 4, huh? So let's test the ratio indeed, and uses the pump house to pump out one water cube and pays nothing. And then to pump out 2 water cubes and pays, I already forget, 2 zloty. And then 3 is going to cost 5. And then 4 and pays, so that's 9 zloty. All right. Okay, now we've got all of those cases covered, right? So we've covered the ratio as well. I mean, not really yet, but I mean, there's test names for it, so. Whew. Okay, let's commit that and say, now I don't know why. So this I understand, but this one, yeah. Added pump house test cases. Okie dokie. Cannot use the pump house when it's not your turn, so now I need to cheat again a little bit, and then I don't care yet about those things. So first thing is we're going to build a test version of Magnum Sal so that we can set it up the way that we want with a player order, sure. Let's do orange, white, and then do I still need to do something else? Yeah, you also need to be in a mine chamber. Yeah, this with 2 white miners at first right mine chamber with 3 players. I think I can just do this. Then at least we know that there is the white player whose turn it is right now, in fact. And then, so this is no longer a test Magnum Sal, but just like a regular one, I think. Now we need to do 2 actions, so let's do 2 passes for white. Or, yeah. 2 passes for white, and then use bump house. For now, we don't need some arguments here or parameters. I think eventually we will need stuff like that, but I think we're fine with this. And then I want this stuff to fail. At least I need to pass who is trying to use the pump house. So I want to assert that exception of type, and this is a legal transition. which is like my general exception that I throw when something illegal, like an illegal move happens. With message, oh Jesus, it's not your turn. But I know that it's something different. Forgot. Alright, and this should already fail, so to make it fail, let's first make it compile. Yep. This is player, then using the bump house. Should also be a public function, so right after the mine stuff, so maybe let's put it here. So by the way, here is like where the mine stuff ends. Placing worker in mine, moving, and then mining itself. These are all mining actions. And this is like the first outside of the mine action that we're going to be implementing. Alright, so now it should compile. And it's not your turn. Let's see, yeah? Okay, so it's failing for the right reason. Now let's probably make it fail for the wrong reason. So luckily I added something that you can do like only in player's turn. And then you just add a player and then you don't do anything. And I still think this is so cool because we haven't changed anything about the readability of this use bump house thing, but we did add like a very important feature, and that is that you can only do this in a player's turn. So now if I run this, I think it's going to fail for the wrong reason now. Yeah, transition requires it to be your turn, so that should be in fact the correct message, and then we'll have already implemented that. Hooray for code reuse. I mean, this is exceptionally slow now, isn't it? There we go. Jesus. And then rerunning it doesn't take that much time? Yeah, okay. Alright. A player cannot use the pump house when it's not their turn. So what happened here was I first wrote the test, made sure that it failed. So that made sure that this test that I wrote is a good one. Or it failed for the correct reason. And then I implemented it and now it's great. So when they are not in a mine chamber with water. Alright, so what I can do next is basically do this and then check. I haven't even set up the game with tiles or something, with only mine chamber tiles of I think there are two test cases here, in fact. There's one where you're just not in a mine chamber at all, and then the other one is where you are in a mine chamber, but it doesn't have any water. So this one would be not in a mine chamber. Oh, actually. And now there are, you know, two things because so let's give this thing some water. This I also want here. And then here I only want mine chambers without water. Okay. So here it doesn't make sense to... So I don't want to be in a mine chamber, so maybe what I can do instead is to just go like with player order white, black or something, and then what is the problem? Oh. Hang on that. I'm just wondering why I haven't... What the difference is between these? With player order? Oh, so this is when you want to... Do I ever use that outside of the test? No. Okay, so let's make this private so I don't make the same mistake again. And I even don't think I'll use this one. I guess I do. I have to determine the play order itself. Okay, so I wanted to use that one. Oi. Okay, now I need players. Yeah. Okay. So that means the first turn is White's turn, but so in the first round, both players get only a single action. So the first thing I want to do is put a one worker here, and then put them at 1-0, the top of the mine shaft. Then I want the black player to also be there or something. Or I could put them here. So that's the first turn. Then I want to put a white at 2,1. No, actually it doesn't matter. Now I already can use the pump house for white, and then, yeah, guess I want to go like this. And we've got a position to pass along to using a pump house. And then we also need to verify basically that the white player has a miner at that place. So when they are not in a mine chamber, but also when they do not have a miner in the given mine chamber. Damn it. So I was blanking a little bit there because well, the first thing is this test case I can completely I can save myself the trouble from writing that if I make this be an explicit mine chamber class, but I don't have that. I just have a mine shaft position or something like that. Position in mine class. Yeah. But you know what? I'll just write it and then save that refactoring for later. So let's keep it here. That's fine. And do not have a miner in the given mine chamber. So here I do want this to be a legal mine chamber, but I just need to make sure that there isn't a miner in that mine chamber. In fact, maybe even I can put y at here or something, or I can pass twice and then put the black player there. Magnum Sal pass white, then Magnum Sal place worker and mine black at 2,1. Now the black player is there, and then I want the black player to pass as well. And then it's the white player's turn again. And then I don't have a miner in the given mine chamber, but the black player does. So it makes the test case a little bit more extensive. So let's just do this. There we go. There we go. Come on, IntelliJ, you can do this. There we go. So now this is broken. No, not that one. Oh, damn it. Yeah, it doesn't matter here. But it's kind of stupid to do this because if I just shuffle around the order... Yeah, if I shuffle around the order, then you're still going to run into this issue first, I think. But let's verify that later. Okay, so now I can just continue coding this one up. So I want requires you to have a miner in or miner app to 1. Yeah, I don't really know. There is like a test case that I already have when no own miners present. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to write. Okay. Now, the fact that I copy-pasted this error message is already telling that there might be some duplication in there. But let's first try and continue it. Okay. Yeah. Let's wait. Let's first run it. And then try and code it. I think I might have forgotten to commit after this first test function. Don't really remember. Alrighty. And the error is not being thrown, so yeah. Let's try and implement this. So then I can say transition requires you to have a minor at. And when do I want to say that? Well, when... Oy oy. I am so sorry about that. Let me turn off the notifications. The do not disturb. I do have to stop streaming in a little while though. Just a second, that. Okay, hang on. So I wanted to, yeah, I think mining, order miners to mine. This is the same thing, Jesus Christ. This is also the same thing. So there needs to be water present and you need to have a miner available. This one doesn't belong there. So we do need this one. As worker at. I'm gonna already add that to do find a way to remove duplication with order miners to mine requirements. Okay, I think what I'll do is complete these tests when they are not in the mine chamber, so that's the same same thing here. So verify that the test is working by making it fail first. And it fails for the right reason, right? Yes, because there's not a throwable. And we are expecting one. You to mine from a mine chamber. Yeah. You to pump water from a mine chamber. Alrighty, let's run it again, and then it should, I guess, also fail. No, it's not. It should be working, in fact. Yep. Let's run all of the tests. This one. When they are not in a mine chamber with water, that's not what I want it to be. Requires there to be water in the mine chamber. And I think I want to set it up like here. Where was it? Yeah, like here. Or similarly enough. So first worker, second worker in the corridor cross section, putting a miner there, and then we can in fact pump, but there's nothing to pump. And then this one should fail. Ooh, it's not your turn. Why is it not my turn? Is that because of this one? Yeah. Okay. That was just a coincidence that it was failing before, I guess. Oh, I don't have... Oh yeah, my bad. Alrighty, let's fix that one as well. Okay, and then that should be water is available at oh yeah, you need to tell how many cubes. So water to pump. At and I think we can add that as a parameter as well. This is not a string though. This should be water cubes, which is just an integer. We are not going to give it a default so that it should actually not compile. I wonder why this is. Oh, yeah. Let's find the salt available. And then... There's plenty of duplication here, Jesus. So if we just do this, water. I think it might be water cubes, yeah. And water mined doesn't exist yet because we don't have a water pumped yet, so this should be a water pumped event, which we don't have yet. Yeah. Water cubes, I think we'll call it. And this here, ooh. Right, I don't think it needs to be this difficult. Because I think I created this data class to make it a little bit more easy, because we're dealing with different types of salt and stuff like that. Yeah, and to subtract mined salt and then make it explicit that it was specifically that salt cube that was mined and stuff like that. I don't need any of that, in fact, because it's just a number. So this is just going to return water cubes. It's just going to be revealed mine chambers. There should only be one. And then this tile will have an amount of water cubes. So that's a water on tile. And then we'll need to check how much water was pumped, which we don't have yet. And then for every water pumped, I guess it might make a little bit more sense if I just sum the water on a tile and then subtract it instead of this fold. But if I leave it like a fold, then maybe there's more to extract as duplication. Huh? Okay, so what I think I'll do next is so really this can be mined from. I don't need to check anymore. Oh, that's also not supposed to be salt, in fact. It's going to be water cubes. And, but I think... The water to pump. Water left. Sure. I'm just gonna replace this with so if water to pump is smaller or equal than the water left in the mine chamber, then it's true. Huh? And this is going to be a new event that we'll put somewhere. Water pumped for a player from a position in the mine, and then water pumped, which is a Magnum Sal event. So it's kind of weird that we're already using this. Water pump. This is water pumped, in fact. Okay. guess now our test is going to work. Or it might not, in fact, because they're... Oh yeah, okay. Dealing with... Let's just do one everywhere or something. Okay, it's more specific. Let's do that. To be... Alright. So as you can see from that implementation, that we also checked the water that was pumped already. That's what I meant with the nature of using an event source system, because now I need to have a test case that takes into account that at some point in time I already, or like a player already mined water from that that mine chamber. So when there is no longer water present in a mine chamber. Did we already have that one? Nope. I guess that's this test case. So let's get rid of that, because it's in fact the case we're writing right now. Now I want all of my tiles to have one water. And even though it's quite silly... So this should be fine, but then if the black player then also places a miner there and tries to mine, it should fail. Oh boy, I don't think I want to do that, because... There we go. So this one should work. And then this one should no longer work. And I think it's going to fail because we don't have a happy path yet. I mean, we're not throwing, or we're not pushing the water pumped events yet. When place worker in mine. All right, so this is the thing I mentioned to you earlier, like when we were testing that pass logic. So now we introduced the water pumped event, and it's not being taken into account. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't possibly, because we're not even pushing anything. So what I could do instead to just make it work is to push a past action event instead. I think that will make it fail for another reason, or for the right reason that we expect it to fail. So now it says a player cannot use a pump house when there is no longer water present in a mine chamber, but it's not failing in fact, it's just raising a throwable. So if I want this to work, I want to create a water, or I want to push a water pumped action, and I want to pump water from this location, and I want to pump this amount of water. And now it's going to fail again because of the turn order. And that's because, yeah, see? Because water pumped actions are not being, is not listed as a player action. I should have done that refactoring earlier. God damn it. Because these will just keep on expanding. Alright, now it should work. The test should be green, yay. Okay, let me run all of the tests and then I think I'm gonna call it quitsies for today. Yay, it's great. Okay, so next time, that will be next Sunday normally. I will continue with these tests. And I think maybe the refactor is needs to be done first. Let's do that here. To do first refactor, pumping water. Okay. And this was water needs to be there to be able to pump water. Maybe I should have also added the player action refactoring, because the longer I keep postponing it, the more annoying it becomes. Let's include it in one go as well. Then refactor player actions in turn order. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the stream of today. Seems like I found my rhythm again, so I'm really glad. And it's fun to do these this implementation of Magnum Sal. Yeah, I can suggest you you play the game as well, because it's really fun if you haven't already. Okay, thanks again for watching and for the suggestions to drink more water. I hope you had a good time. And yeah, if not earlier, see you next week Sunday. But until then, peace. You.
The Real JHZ, Quasion Tem, Obo Juice, Web Dublin, Kasirus, No Cherish, DNC Cast, and thank you to our new subscriber, Yanzor. Welcome. Live Coding with Schlapp just hosted this stream for 1 viewer exactly as I was running my end credits and leaving. Thank you so much for the host though, friend. Let's see, I'm gonna look for a channel here to raid. Do you know what? I love dropping y'all off at NoOpCat. She has a super chill stream. She works on hardware and she does an amazing job, and I know you're gonna have a good time over there. Goodbye, YG Dev, Gift Sub, Levinson, and InCat. Let's send you all over to visit NoOpCat. Yeah. Awesome. It looks like almost everybody is in the raid. So it takes a little while for Twitch to grab everybody and put them in the raid and then send them off. So I have to wait for the super long bar to go by. So I'm sorry that I like said my goodbyes and everything and then I'm still here. But yeah. YG Dust as well. Streaming is still going on. Yep. I'm still here. I'm still streaming.
So I need these switches because otherwise I have to switch Wi-Fi networks and then jump on, you know, Home Assistant and fiddle with it. So I kind of set things up and then I allow the remotes to control it after that. So there's also that complication. Smart is better than noisy and screaming on wireless frequencies. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Okay, we should do some stuff because I don't have anything else to show off. Because moving is the worst thing ever, and all I'm doing is unpacking boxes and moving things around the kitchen and then removing things around the kitchen. So Kale Codes or Chael Codes, thank you so much for reading with 48 people. Welcome to the stream. I hope that you all had a good morning / afternoon / evening so far. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for passing off to me. When we moved across Brooklyn to our new apartment, it was hell